It's homecoming, y'all. No cheers for homecoming? It's homecoming, y'all. Ah, wow. All right, so we do want to acknowledge homecoming, a significant event in the life of the college. And so, as we normally do, we have a few shout-outs. First of all, we want to shout out to our Morehouse College football team. Football team in the house. All right. So we want you all to do well this week. Now, historically speaking, when I was a student at Morehouse umpteen years ago, the team was, mixed. Sometimes they'd win, sometimes they wouldn't. But nonetheless, the fellowship was always there. So we're looking forward to a great game this Saturday. Now, we want to recognize the athletic department more broadly. They have again won the SIAC Commissioners Awards Championship. So that's the award to the school in this conference that has the highest GPA, highest performance. So it's a combination award across the different teams. So I'm going to call out the teams and coaches individually. If you are here, please stand and be recognized. Is Mr. Andre Patillo here, Director of the Athletics Department? All right. Now, you got to understand, there's multiple things going on today, so everyone may not be here. Mr. Terry Alexander, head of the tennis team. Tennis team here, raise your hands. Tennis team, any members? Okay. Y'all can clap for the tennis team. Come on now. Actually, the tennis team does really well. Big shout outs to Mr. Grady Brewer, head basketball coach, basketball team in the house. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right, deep. I like it. Yes, indeed, sir. We've already shouted out Mr. Rich Freeman. Could the members of the football team please stand, and their coaches? Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Willie Hill, head coach of the cross country and track and field. So if the track and field coaches or track and field student athletes are here, please stand. These brothers work really hard, y'all. Mr. William Lewis, head golf coach. So Mr. Lewis is here, or anybody from the golf team, please stand. Golf team. Mr. Robert Mitchell, head baseball coach. Mr. Mitchell, anybody from the baseball team, please stand. Thank you, gentlemen. And finally, Mrs. Mia Welsh, head cheerleading coach. So Mrs. Welsh is here, or anybody from the cheerleading team, Miss Mahogany in Motion, anything like that? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, and now we want to take this time, as we usually do and during our homecoming session, to recognize Miss Maroon and White in her court. We have Miss Brittany Botts, class of 2015. First attendant, Phelan Clark, class of 2015. And second attendant, Alicia Corey Edwards, class of 2015. Good to see you all as well. So it's now my pleasure to introduce one of your colleagues, a student here at Morehouse College, a senior English major from Greensboro, North Carolina, Mr. Deshaun V. Adams, class of 2015. He wants to teach after Morehouse College and go into school administration or education policy. So let's greet our brother as he introduces our keynote speaker for today.
Good morning, brothers. Good morning. All right, it's homecoming. Y'all turned up a little bit. Y'all all right? All right, so it's my privilege to introduce our speaker for today. I want to draw your attention to the bio that's inside of your programs. And I'll read it as follows. Jim Shelton, Morehouse College, class of 1989, is the Deputy Secretary of the United States Department of Education. In this role, he oversees broad range of management, policy, and program functions. Previously, he served as the head of Office of Innovation and Improvement at the department, managing a portfolio that included most of the department's competitive programs, such as the Investing in Innovation Fund, Promise Neighborhoods, and others focused on teacher and leader quality, school choice, and learning technology. Earlier in his career, as program director for the education at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Shelton managed portfolios ranging from $2 to $3 billion in nonprofit investments targeting increased high schools and graduation rates. Shelton has also been the East Coast lead for the New Schools Venture Fund and co-founded Learn Now, a school management company that later was acquired by Edison Schools. After 4 years in Atlanta with McKinsey & Company, he advised top CEOs and executives on strategy, business development, as well as organization design and effectiveness, where he left as the senior manager to join Knowledge Universe Incorporated. There, he launched and acquired and operated education-related businesses. In 2014, Shelton received Morehouse College's most prestigious Benny Award in Achievement. Let's give that a hand. He is a proud graduate of Morehouse College, receiving his degree in computer science. He also holds a master's degree in business administration and education from Stanford University. Shelton currently resides in his hometown, Washington, D.C., with his wife, Sonia, and their 2 sons. Please welcome me, or help me welcome me, Mr. Jim Shelton.
Morning, morning. So, there's nothing more of a privilege and an honor and more daunting than to come back to Morehouse. Because I sat in that seat. And I know I was often not really sure I wanted to be there listening to somebody talk for a long time. And the truth of the matter is that I'm not a great orator. That's not what I do. So I asked myself, what would be worthy of your time this morning? And the only thing I could come up with is the truth as I see it. Now, oftentimes, people who have encountered a certain amount of success, when they speak from a place of authority about the way things are. But the first truth I have realized is that I am on a learning journey. And that journey comes with new insights at every step of the way. So what I will share with you today is my perspective based on what I see today and what I've had the opportunity to see. And what I would ask you to do is to make sure that you think about the world in the same way. That you think about the world as from the perspective from which you happen to sit today, and that you recognize that every person who speaks to you is doing the same. Now, why is that important? Now I'm going to date myself. How many of you have ever seen a movie called Good Will Hunting? All right. So those of you who have seen this movie will know what I'm talking about. There's a scene in the movie where the main character is in a bar with his friends. They are low-class Southies, as you might call it, from Boston, and they're in a Harvard bar. And one of his friends runs into a guy who is a student on campus, and they get into a little exchange. And the guy from Harvard begins to talk about things that he knows for certain that these guys from Southie have had no exposure to, about economic theory. And the main character steps up to this guy named Clark, and he says, "You think that because you just finished reading Ferguson. And next week you will think something different because you'll have finished reading Emmett. Don't be Clark. Don't be the person who learns something new, stops thinking, starts regurgitating, and loses the ability to see the world from new perspectives." So, with that preamble, there's a few things I want to talk about today. I had a long list and I cut it back because I think it's really important to just, for us today, given the state of America and the state of black men in America, to talk about a few things. One of the things that I've had the privilege to do under the Obama administration, not only as lead the part of the Department of Education that I lead, is but to run an initiative called My Brother's Keeper for the President. The President, as many of you may remember, came out directly after the George Zimmerman verdict was announced and went into the press room. And he said a number of things that no one in the country could mistake for anything but coming straight from his heart. But what he said is that as a country, we need to decide whether we are going to show our young men, specifically our African American young men, that we believe in them and that we are willing to invest in them. And yet since that time, what we have seen is that the condition that drove that incident, that moment, the death of a young man, has occurred again and again, even since then. So it means that we have to figure out what is it that needs to change writ large in order for the circumstances of this country, and in particular black men in this country, to change. Now, there are things that we have control over, but there are many things that we don't. Which brings me to the first thing I'd love for you to remember. I have developed a definition of what power actually is. Power is the ability to make, create, or take away viable options and choices for yourself and others. Think about it. When you have money, you have a certain amount of power because you have a flexibility to create options for yourself. When you're in a political position or a regulator, you have a certain amount of power because you can control what people can and can't do legally. When you are a policeman, you have a certain amount of power because you can take away people's freedom and even their life. As an individual, all of us have power over our own choices, some many more than others. And that power derives from a number of places. And so the question becomes, in order to create true opportunity and equity in this country, how do we create and give power to ourselves and to our people? How do we make sure that every black man and every black boy and every black girl and every child of color and every child who is vulnerable and every child in America has the power to achieve great, great, great things? When we are here, we are taught that we can do great things. We are taught that we actually have a responsibility to do great things. And that those great things aren't just for our own enlightenment, for our own upliftment, for our own self-honor and glory. But there is meant to be a broader purpose, that we are meant to serve, that we are meant to make a difference. So when I look back at what I learned here, and I look back at the lessons that I've learned about great men, what I realized is that often the things that we zero in on as the sources of power, of the sources of greatness, are the wrong ones. Lots of people focus on money. When I was at the Gates Foundation, people really focused on the fact that I had access to money, and they thought that made me powerful, gave me access to people and things that I had never seen before. But I want you to think back of everything that you have learned about great people in history. And how many of them were known as great because of their wealth? How many of them had no wealth and were known as great because of what they did despite their lack of resources? Your power to change the arc of history is not rooted in material things. The power to change history is not rooted in your positional authority. The power to change things is rooted in what you are willing to do. So now that I've talked about power, I want to step back and talk about purpose. In this country in particular, as black men, we are faced with a paradox. We are Americans and we are African Americans. This country has created great opportunity and been inflicted great struggle. Even when you listen to the Pledge of Allegiance, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I dare say there are no people who have contributed more blood and sweat to the progress of this nation in every possible form, and yet who are so distant from the promise of the potential that was made. Yet that is the life and the purpose that we have as African Americans. People may know that President Obama, when he was last at the UN, caused a great controversy because he referenced the Ferguson incident and the uprising there as a result. And what he said is that, yes, we as a country still struggle. But what has made America great is that it confronts its problems publicly and continues to strive imperfectly to make it better. People who sat in these seats before you, people who you don't know, paid a price for you to have the privilege to be here today. It is easy to forget because good is the enemy of great. We have it good. You are on an outstanding campus, getting better every day, I hear. You are with outstanding brothers around you. You have the opportunity to see things, hear things, learn things that most people who look like us can only imagine. When you look at even the conditions, I hate to say it, of the worst of our brothers in this country compared to our brothers and sisters outside of this country and many parts of the world, we have it made. But good is the enemy of great. We become satisfied that we are the best among HBCUs, that we have programs that serve us well, that I not only passed, I did a good job, that I am among the best. And yet when we look around versus our ideals, versus excellence, we know we fall short. Now, I don't say this to scold us. I say this because we need more. One of the most profound books that I've read about business, organizations, frankly, movements, it's a book called Good to Great. It's actually just okay, substantively. But it includes truth after truth after truth. One is that you must always be willing to confront the brutal facts of your current situation and never lose faith that you will prevail in the end. Now, why do I say that that is so important? Because when I sit here and when I am out in the world speaking to my brothers and sisters about our condition, I get two reactions. One are people who are deeply engaged and willing to focus on what the brutal facts tell us about where we are. The other is castigation from people who say, why are you airing our dirty laundry in public? When you worry about what other people think, about what your truth is, you are giving them your power. So our purpose, I would say, can be nothing less than to create power for our people. That takes several things, and you have to overcome two things I want to talk about before I end. The first thing that you will learn, let me stop for a second. So I just turned 47. And one of the things that happens when you turn 47 is that you realize that the probability that you're not more than halfway to the end is pretty low. And so you get real reflective for a second about what you think you're doing right, what you think you're doing wrong. And you look at folks around you. You'll look at the people in your class who are stellar. They ace classes, they lead things, they speak up here and they blow everybody away. You think about your other friends who seem like they don't really have it together, but you love them to death anyway. And it will be an interesting thing that starts to happen. You will realize that people don't take the paths that you thought that they were going to take. People's trajectories that seem predetermined coming out of here take very different turns than you might expect. And so then you start to say, well, why? Why? What is the big difference? What is the difference maker in these people? There are many, but there is one that seems to stand out to me more than all the others. Doers beat talkers every time. Doers beat talkers every time. And so when I am in the position I am in now, and I work for the president I work for, I often find myself wondering whether I should be paying more attention to the Facebook activists out there in the world who have a lot to say about what's going on. I often wonder about how we'll make progress and whether we're doing the right thing given the folks that are on TV chatting away. And then I remember this poem that was famous from Teddy Roosevelt. If you'll let me, I'll read it just really quickly. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. So I say to you, who will you be? Who will you be? Will you be the one who is satisfied with good enough? The one who watches the struggle and comments how terrible it is in Twitter and Facebook? Who writes long soliloquies about the injustice of the American condition? Who profits off of speaking again and again about the problems facing our people in our country? Or will you be the one who quietly or loudly is doing something? You will have to choose. And what I want to remind you is that inaction is a choice. So the last thing I want to say to you today is that oftentimes when people read your bios, frankly, always when people read your bios, they string together the set of accomplishments that are easily recognized. The first thing to remember is that they almost never talk about your failures. Nobody has ever introduced me and talked about how I lost my scholarship my freshman year here at Morehouse. Nor have they talked about how proud I was to still graduate in 4 years. They don't talk about how I've become a millionaire more than once. Think about that. They don't talk about what it's like to be chased out of a country while you're trying to be there fighting for their freedom. Your life, if it has meaning, frankly, if you walk in it every day, will be full of ups and downs. Full of failures. Hopefully more full of success. So the only difference between those that just do and those that succeed is how many times they get back up. Morehouse teaches you to get back up. Heck, to get through registration, you got to get back up. Final words. Morehouse is a difficult love affair. It is a difficult love affair. You are here, and it is one of the best things, I guarantee you, that will happen to you in your life. On many days, though, you will wonder why you even bother. And whether you can stay another day. Fight through. Fight through. There is nothing, no developmental experience that I have had, and I have had many, that I would trade for my Morehouse experience.
Yeah.
The brothers you meet here will be your friends for life. Not the kind that know you when you're good, but the kind that call you when they know you've been bad. The professors who seem like they are on your neck, they are preparing you. See Dr. Barksdale over there. I won't even tell that story. When you make it through, and you must, allow yourself to be transformed. Hear me. There's a cliche, there's many men who go through Morehouse, but for some of them, Morehouse does not go through them. Do not lose this opportunity to become the men that will change the world. That is who you are if you claim it. Go get it.
Thank you for that, Deputy Secretary. There's no, yeah, they know not to leave. They know the program. We're good. Oh, we're okay. All right. So now it is my great honor and pleasure to bring to the podium the 11th president of Morehouse College, John Sylvanus Wilson, Jr.
Thank you. Audio. Thank you. While we're still getting set up with audio, what I'm going to do right now is just going to take 3 minutes. While we're getting set up, though, I want to... Okay. While he's setting that up, I want to give Jim Shelton another hand. I thought it was a very powerful presentation. I need you to understand something. When we were sitting in the Department of Education on the top floor, there's a Secretary of Education, there were 3 Morehouse men in the room. It's only like 15, 20 people altogether, senior staff in the department. And John Brown, who is here now, myself, Jim Shelton were in that room most of the Monday mornings throughout the first term. And this brother talks about power. He knows how to talk about power because he has had a great deal of power working for Obama and before that working for Bill Gates. He's now about to make another move that will be announced very soon. But this brother is already a star in the Morehouse firmament. Understand his life, his background, and try to emulate what he has done, and I hope his words reach you. I know it did a lot of you because you were riveted. I want to give a nod to this football team. Wish you all the best on Saturday. We'll all be out there to cheer you on, the football team and the football coach. Yeah. And most of you who know me know that I'm a huge basketball fan as well, and I have high anticipation for what our basketball team is going to do this season. Let's give them a hand of encouragement. And all of our athletes at Morehouse. So what I want to do is this. I want to talk to you about, I talk about character preeminence and capital preeminence. And what that means is just Morehouse getting better and better in all of these respects and all of these respects. I'm just going to zero in on one in the next few minutes. It's our fiscal capital. I was at Morehouse 1975 through 1979. I stayed in Thurman Hall and then Du Bois Hall. And I loved it. Jim is right. The fellowship, I have brothers I've been friends with for all my life. And just a few weeks ago, I went and performed the wedding of the daughter of my Morehouse roommate. And that was a powerful, powerful experience for me. But in coming back here as president, one of the things that has challenged me is our physical space. Actually, it challenged me then while I was at Morehouse. I insisted that we need better buildings. We need better facilities. We need better dorms. We need better classrooms. And I just want you to know that because I'm very passionate about this, I had a long talk with a particular donor who's also a trustee. He stroked a check for a little more than $500,000 and said, let's reimagine. Now, that's good. That's a good start. You ain't seen nothing yet. That's it. Be cool now. Said, let's reimagine this place. Let's completely reimagine this place and use that as the foundation or the background for all of our work to advance the campus. So I'm going to share with the whole community tomorrow. I shared it with the board last weekend, but I'm going to share it with you here. It's a 3-minute video on a reimagination of Morehouse College. And if you want some idea of why I'm in and out of airports, on planes a lot, getting to other places, is to fulfill an academic vision and do capital and character preeminence, but it's also to fulfill this vision that you're about to see evidence of. So I'm going to show this video, and then we are going to sing Dear Old Morehouse, and then we'll be adjourned. Do we have audio now? Yeah, we do? Okay. I want you to pardon the quality of my voice in this video. It is from my inauguration. Some of you know I barely made it there. My health was kind of slipping a little bit, so my voice is kind of raspy in this. We believe that if we can establish the world of our dreams on this campus, then we will finally be able to establish the world of our dreams on this earth. Capital preeminence means having a first-rate campus, and character preeminence means producing first-rate men. And we will have the world of our dreams when we are recognizably and completely preeminent in both. There is a dream imperative in the DNA of Morehouse College, And it is there because somehow we all know that if we can do a better job of creating the world of our dreams on this campus, then we will do a better job of creating a world of our dreams on this earth. It is up to us to make both happen. Somebody say, yeah! Hey! Yeah! Hey! A reimagination of this place. And I have every confidence that we can realize this vision. All I'm asking everybody to do is believe. All right? Believe. We're working hard on this. Just believe. Henry? Let's sing to him. Yes, sir. In the spirit of what you just saw, if everybody will link together, we'll sing the college hymn. In the spirit of homecoming. It's homecoming time, brothers. It's homecoming. Alumni will travel from throughout the world. I just want to say before we start, at 3 o'clock tomorrow in Bank of America Auditorium, we're going to show that video again and talk about the new plan, and a lot of alums will be there. If you want to see that again, and if you want to tell some of your classmates and friends who did not see it, just tell them to be there at 3 o'clock tomorrow in Bank of America. We're going to play that again. And then over the course of the year, we're going to involve you all. That's not a baked plan. That's just a reimagination. We're going to be talking with you to see what you want this place to be too, and it'll be different by the end of the year. But we're going to elevate. That's the message. We're going to elevate. Amen?
Dear old Morehouse, dear old Morehouse, we have pledged our lives to thee, and will ever, yea forever, give ourselves in loyalty. True forever, to old Morehouse may we be, so to bind each son the other into ties more brotherly. Holy Spirit, make us steadfast, honest, true, to old Morehouse and her ideals, and in all things that we do. Happy homecoming, brothers. Let's go win this game. Have a wonderful weekend. Made it.
Oh, yes. And fellas, so the pep rally is right outside on the plaza. The pep rally is right outside on the plaza. Go ahead and head out. You want to take a quick